Hello, I'm Matthew, and you guys probably know me from Movies Recapped. Since this is a collab video, but he jumps over it and returns the ball, scoring a point. Carol Campbell then tries hitting the ball in another sunken tile and bouncing it back in his direction. Fiona intercepts the ball and slams it to the ground, scoring another point. Carol decides to change plans, manipulating the net's height. He signals to the staff, and they comply. Lloyd and Fiona Frost notice the changes and opt to work around them. When the Campbells realize their tricks are not working, they try using more against the phonies, from gusts of wind to coating the ball with stink spray. However, all their schemes only amounted to little more than slight annoyances to the phonies, who win the set and tie the scores. Lloyd praises Fiona and her abilities, which she likes. As the final set begins, Fiona thinks about how she wants the match to last forever. She wonders if she could do it by extending it with an indefinite series of tiebreakers, but backs down, realizing she might lose Lloyd's respect and that he has finally found his groove again. Lloyd sees how focused Fiona looks and is glad she is finally under control. Meanwhile, the Campbell siblings decide to call in the big guns. The game begins, and Lloyd sees no tricks used and wonders if the siblings have given up on them. As Fiona is about to make her return, Lloyd sees Carol signaling with his tongue, then spots a glint at the ducks behind him. Inside, a sniper prepares to make his shot, aiming for Fiona. Lloyd moves quickly, grabbing Fiona as he takes the bullet and tumbles to the ground, surprising everyone, including Fiona. As the commentators relay the events, Fiona asks if Lloyd is alright. Lloyd confirms this, then picks up the bullet and shows it to Fiona. Fiona apologizes for letting this happen, but Lloyd reveals he anticipated this, which is why he wore a bulletproof vest under his shirt, and Fiona is amazed. Carol is also amazed after he sees Lloyd get up and walk off over getting shot. Fiona says this is going too far, even for Campbellton, and suggests penalizing the staff for interference. Lloyd doubts this, pointing out that most of the tournament staff seem to be in Campbell's pocket and how any disruption to their match could risk their chances of getting the painting. However, the bullets are low velocity, and the agents can try throwing off the sniper's aim by baiting shots as long as they can spot the signals. The line judge asks if Lloyd is alright, and Lloyd says he is suffering from a hangover. Carol is shocked, saying it cannot be true. The game resumes, and Lloyd makes his serve. He sees Carol make another signal and realizes they will target him mid-serve. Lloyd staggers to the side and finishes his serve, surprising everyone. The sniper radios to the court interference squad for assistance, telling them to do whatever it takes to ensure the siblings win. Their tricks do not work on the agents, who predict their moves and move around them. The sniper calls in the ball boys to make their move. As Team Phony prepares to return a serve, Lloyd spots one of the ball boys pointing their wrist in his direction. The ball boy shoots a hidden bullet at Lloyd, who parries the shot, and the commentator sees Lloyd. A frustrated Cabby Campbell yells at his kids to get it together and beat their opponents, knowing he has a lot riding on this match. The ball and a bullet go to Lloyd, who returns them with a wide swing. The parried bullet hits Carol in the stomach, resulting in stomach cramps. Seeing that both teams appear impaired in the final stretch, the commentator calls the match a battle of sheer will as the audience cheers. While they play, Carol thinks about how he does not want to lose and be beaten by Lloyd, but sees that he is no match for him. Lloyd jumps up in front of Carol, intimidating him with his aura as he slams the ball onto the boy's legs. With that, the phonies win the championship match, and the men betting on them stand up and cheer while Cabby sinks into his seat. Carol approaches Lloyd, realizing that despite being aware of the tricks, the phonies still won. Carol tears up and confesses that Carol swears to Lloyd that he will train hard, and Lloyd cheers him on. Fiona thinks to herself that Lloyd does not only strive to complete his missions but also reform his enemies, which is why she loves him. Kim Campbell sees this and thinks about how, while a member points out how much money he just lost, one of Cabby's men interrupts him and whispers a message to him, which Lloyd notices. After the game, the phonies go through a catalog filled with all the art from Cabby's collection. Fiona picks Lady in the Sun, but Cabby granting her request. Fiona goes to a private room full of Cabby's art. Cabby asks where Lloyd is, and Fiona says he left to sleep off his hangover and not to worry about him. She glances at Lady in the Sun and sees it in the room. Fiona then asks Cabby for a recommendation for her choice and if she can leave her bag on a nearby counter, which he allows. Cabby's butler approaches Cabby about Lady in the Sun, and Cabby tells him that the SSS will arrive in 10 minutes and to prepare it for them in the lobby. As the butler prepares the painting at the counter, one of the men tells him to hurry it up. Cabby has his butler see Fiona out, who asks the butler if Wise will let them moonlight as tennis pros. The butler removes his face mask, revealing himself to be Lloyd, and says he has had enough of tennis for a while. As they leave, Loud asks Fiona what she picked for their prize, and she shows him a weird pot Cavi recommended, along with some garish rings he threw in. The agents then agree to gift them to Handler as a souvenir. On the drive home, Lloyd admits to panicking a little when Cavi refused to give them Lady in the Sun, but reveals that they successfully obtained it. Having planned, Lloyd brought a forgery of the painting and swapped it with the original while disguised as the butler, sneaking the original inside Fiona's bag. With this, the SSS will have to scour the forgery for a secret code that does not exist. Seeing the secret code on the painting, Lloyd and Fiona decide to bring it to HQ for analysis and high-five each other over completing the mission. Nearing the forger's neighborhood, Fiona Frost offers to drive Lloyd Forger all the way to his home, wanting to spend more time with him. Lloyd removes his disguise and reminds her that he is a happily married man that does not want anyone getting the wrong idea if they see him leaving a young lady's car. He adds that people get reported to the SSS all the time for infidelity. Fiona's heart beats, and in her thoughts, she asks if Lloyd acknowledges her skills, which would make her a more suitable wife and partner. Lloyd gets dropped off at a park, and before he can say goodbye to Fiona, he is interrupted by Yor Forger calling for Anya and Bond to go home. Lloyd sees his family still playing at the park and takes note of it. Fiona glares at them, then steps out of her car and walks towards Yor. Fiona greets Yor, who is surprised by her presence. Lloyd also walks over to greet them and says Fiona gave him a ride home while she thought to stop by and say hello. Fiona looks at Yor's racket and asks if Yor plays tennis. Yor explains that she and Anya practiced with Lloyd the other day, and Anya proudly states that she hit many home runs. Lloyd thanks them for their help, and Fiona scoffs in her thoughts. Fiona believes Yor to be presumptuous for believing Lloyd, saying that she herself would have helped Lloyd achieve further greatness. Fiona proceeds to challenge Yor to a game. Lloyd asks what Fiona is doing, and she explains in code that she wants to make sure Yor is prepared for the physical rigors of Operation Strix. In her thoughts, Fiona plans to crush Yor and have her relinquish her role as the mother. Lloyd tells Yor that she does not have to accept, but Yor believes if she declines or loses, Lloyd will report her to the SSS for being a weak tennis player and replace her with Fiona. Thus she accepts the challenge. Reading both of their minds, Anya can feel the tension between the women and flashes back to Becky Blackbell excitedly telling her about the latest episode from Burlinton Love, where the main character's fiancé encounters his childhood friend, but Anya could not sympathize as she prefers cartoons. Relating this to the current situation, Anya claims to understand what Becky was talking about, saying she likes action battles too. Before starting their game, Fiona tells Yor to come at her with everything she has. Lloyd tries warning Fiona but gets told to step back. Yor agrees with Fiona's statement and decides to go all out, making a powerful swing as she serves. However, Yor appears to have missed her shot, and the ball drops to the ground. Fiona scoffs at this but sees the ball slice up into small pieces. Yor thinks about how she always cuts through the ball when she swings too hard and decides to hold back a little if she wants to hit the ball. Yor calls Anya for another ball, and Anya gets Bond to bring one over. Yor then tells a stunned Fiona that she is going to try again. While Fiona tries to process what just happened, Yor swings the ball, which moves faster than sound and in a perfectly straight line. Fiona tries her best to return the ball but struggles to push it forward. She thinks about how her love for Twilight cannot lose to Yor, who stands in the way of her ambition. Fiona ultimately fails, and the ball breaks through her racket. Fiona falls to the ground, shocked by her defeat. Yor rushes to Fiona, asking if she is okay, while Lloyd thinks about how he warned Fiona. Fiona declares Yor the victor for now but will one day challenge her to a revenge match. Fiona tells Yor to enjoy her life until then before driving off and, in tears, declares that she will never give up. Yor wonders if she upset Fiona somehow, but Lloyd says Fiona is very passionate about tennis, and Anya thinks about how energetic she is. Lloyd hopes Fiona did not give Yor the wrong idea, but because of their sham marriage, cannot imagine Yor being affected by her. His thoughts are interrupted by Yor, who enthusiastically exclaims her victory. After Yor struts away in a huff, Lloyd starts feeling exhausted. Anya says she is hungry, and Lloyd decides to get something delivered. The next day, Lloyd meets with Sylvia, proceeds to brief their findings from the secret code and hands Lloyd the Zacharias dossier, in the form of Eric Zacharias' diary. Reading it, Lloyd learns that the threat Zacharias hid was his collection of starlet photos. Zacharias liked theater and bought postcards to support the actresses, but his wife disapproved of them and told him to get rid of them. Unable to part with them, he locked away his collection lest it reignited the flames of strife between him and his wife. Astounded at the revelation, Lloyd asks how the dossier rumors started. A wise agent tells him that before the war's end, Zacharias hosted Western diplomats at a musical performance and made them swear to secrecy so his wife would not find out. Over the years, the story got embellished into the current rumor. Realizing that he went through all that trouble for some postcards, Lloyd tries to find a greater mystery behind it, but Sylvia assures him that there was no bombshell to reignite the war and considers it a victory. Lloyd agrees, then sees a picture of Zacharias smiling with his wife and daughter and contemplates the notion that any lie is justified in the name of peace. On his way home, Lloyd goes to a bakery and orders an apple tart and a slice of caramel nut cake for Yor and Anya, respectively. Back at home, Anya plays with Bond in the living room while Yor sits on the couch looking dazed. Meanwhile, Fiona trains in the mountains with a large rock tied to a stick, roaring while the wildlife watches from the side in fear.